The wrestling world just witnessed something nobody saw coming, and what unfolded on Friday Night SmackDown has left fans absolutely stunned with their jaws on the floor. Alexa Bliss made her return to WWE television, and she didn't come back as the woman we've seen in recent years, but instead she brought back a version of herself that fans have been begging to see for what feels like an eternity. The energy in the arena was electric, and social media exploded within seconds of her appearance because this wasn't just any ordinary comeback. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do it now, because you're about to get all the details on what's shaping up to be one of the most talked about storylines of the year. The build-up to this moment has been brewing for weeks, and the tension backstage has been at an all-time high, with multiple superstars involved in what can only be described as a powder keg waiting to explode. Alexa Bliss has been away from our screens dealing with personal matters, and during her absence the women's division has gone through some serious changes, with new alliances forming and old rivalries reigniting. When she walked through those curtains on SmackDown, the crowd absolutely lost their minds because they knew something special was about to happen, and boy did she deliver in ways that exceeded every expectation. What made this return so significant wasn't just the fact that Alexa was back, but it was the way she carried herself from the moment she stepped into view. Gone was the supernatural character that dominated her previous run, and in its place stood the fierce, competitive, driven athlete that fans fell in love with during her early days in WWE. Her ring gear was different, her demeanor was different, and even the look in her eyes told a story of someone who was ready to reclaim everything she had lost during her time away. The commentary team couldn't contain their excitement as they highlighted how this version of Alexa Bliss was the one that captured multiple championships and dominated the women's division for years. The crowd chanted her name, and signs were everywhere throughout the arena as she made her way to the ring with a purpose that couldn't be denied. She grabbed a microphone and addressed the WWE Universe with words that cut through the noise and made it crystal clear what her intentions were moving forward. Alexa talked about how she had been watching from home, seeing new faces rise to prominence and established stars claiming they were the best in the division. She said her time away gave her clarity and reminded her why she fell in love with this business in the first place, and that was to compete at the highest level and prove she was the best wrestler in that locker room. The emotion in her voice was genuine, and fans could feel every word she spoke, because this wasn't scripted corporate talk but real feelings from someone who had been through struggles both professionally and personally. She mentioned how people had written her off and assumed her best days were behind her, but tonight she was here to prove all the doubters wrong. The arena erupted with cheers, and the atmosphere was charged with anticipation because everyone knew this was the beginning of something huge that would impact the entire women's division for months to come. But just when fans thought they had seen everything the night had to offer, things took an unexpected turn that nobody predicted. Tiffany Stratton has been on an incredible run lately, establishing herself as one of the most promising young talents in WWE, and her confidence has been growing with each passing week. She's been involved in several high-profile matches and has made it clear she believes she's the future of the women's division. Tiffany came out to the stage, interrupting Alexa's moment, and the two locked eyes in a stare down that had the crowd buzzing with excitement. Tiffany grabbed her own microphone and didn't hold back as she told Alexa that times had changed and the women's division had moved on without her. She said Alexa's glory days were in the past, and this was now the era of new talent who were younger, faster, and hungrier than the veterans who came before them. The disrespect was evident in her tone, and Alexa's facial expression showed she wasn't going to tolerate being talked down to by someone she viewed as unproven. The verbal exchange was intense, and fans were eating it up because the chemistry between them was undeniable, and it was clear this rivalry had serious potential. Things escalated quickly as Tiffany started walking down the ramp toward the ring, and security personnel began positioning themselves ringside, anticipating what might happen next. Alexa stood her ground in the center of the ring, daring Tiffany to step through those ropes and back up her words with action. The tension was thick, and you could hear a pin drop in the arena as everyone waited to see who would make the first move. Just as Tiffany was about to enter the ring, the lights flickered and the Titantron showed something that made the entire building gasp in shock. Jade Cargill appeared on the screen, standing backstage with an intimidating presence that sent chills down everyone's spine. She had been relatively quiet in recent weeks after some impressive victories, but her appearance in this moment changed everything about the situation unfolding in the ring. Jade addressed both Alexa and Tiffany, saying that while they were busy arguing about who was better, neither of them were on her level. She claimed she was the most dominant force in WWE, and it didn't matter if Alexa brought back an old version of herself or if Tiffany thought she was the future, because Jade was the present and she was untouchable. The camera cut back to the ring where both Alexa and Tiffany were watching the screen with intense focus, and the dynamic had completely shifted. What started as a one-on-one confrontation had now become a three-way situation with massive implications for the women's division. Fans were losing their minds trying to process everything happening, because within minutes we went from a simple return to a complex storyline involving three of the most talented women on the roster. The commentators were speculating about what this meant for upcoming pay-per-view events and championship opportunities. But Jade wasn't finished making her statement, because she said she was done talking and it was time to show everyone exactly what she meant. The feed cut to a different area backstage where chaos was breaking out and officials were rushing toward a scene that was getting out of control. The camera crew scrambled to get there, and when they finally arrived, the image was stunning. Jade had attacked someone backstage, and as the camera got closer it became clear that the victim was someone closely associated with Tiffany Stratton, which added another layer to this already complicated situation. Tiffany saw what was happening on the screen and her expression changed from confidence to concern as she realized her ally had been taken out by Jade's surprise assault. She immediately dropped her microphone and rushed up the ramp, heading to the back to check on her associate, leaving Alexa standing alone in the ring watching everything unfold. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or boo because the action was coming from all directions and nobody could predict what would happen next in this wild sequence of events. Backstage, the camera showed Tiffany arriving at the scene where medical personnel were already attending to her fallen ally. The attack had been vicious and strategic, with Jade targeting someone who mattered to Tiffany in order to send a message that she could get to anyone at any time. Tiffany was visibly upset and frustrated as she demanded to know where Jade had gone, but security informed her that Jade had already left the area. The psychological warfare had begun and Jade had successfully gotten inside Tiffany's head within minutes of inserting herself into this storyline. Meanwhile, back in the ring, Alexa was processing everything that had just transpired, and you could see the wheels turning in her mind as she calculated her next move. She picked up the microphone again and addressed the camera directly, saying that Jade had just made a serious mistake by drawing attention to herself. Alexa made it clear that she didn't come back to WWE to play games or get involved in petty drama, but if Jade wanted to make a statement, then Alexa was ready to respond in kind. The fire in her eyes showed that the old Alexa Bliss wasn't just a character change but a mindset shift that made her more dangerous than ever before. The second twist of the night came moments later when the general manager's office made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the locker room. Due to the events that had just unfolded, a triple threat match was being scheduled for the next pay-per-view event featuring Alexa Bliss, Jade, Cargill and Tiffany Stratton, with major championship implications on the line. The winner of that match would earn the right to challenge for the women's championship, and suddenly the stakes couldn't be higher. This announcement changed everything because it meant these three women would have to settle their differences in the ring, where only one could emerge victorious. Fans immediately took to social media, sharing their excitement and predictions about how this match would play out. The combination of Alexa's experience, Jade's raw power and Tiffany's athleticism made for a dream scenario that had people already calling it a potential match of the year candidate. The WWE Universe was divided on who they wanted to see win, with passionate arguments being made for all three competitors. Some fans believed Alexa deserved this moment after everything she'd been through, while others thought Tiffany's time to shine had arrived, and another group felt Jade was ready to dominate the main event scene. The storytelling potential of this rivalry is enormous because each woman brings something unique to the table that makes them compelling in different ways. Alexa has the history and the legacy, having accomplished almost everything there is to accomplish in WWE, and her return with a renewed focus makes her incredibly dangerous. Tiffany represents the new generation of talent who grew up watching these veterans and is determined to prove she belongs in their league. Jade brings an aura of invincibility with her impressive physique and athletic background, making her a physical threat unlike anyone else in the division. As the show went off the air, the final image was a split screen showing all three women in different locations with intense expressions that promised this was only the beginning. Alexa was shown in the ring staring at the camera with determination. Tiffany was backstage with her injured ally looking furious and ready for revenge. Jade was in a separate area smirking confidently as if everything was going according to her plan. The visual storytelling was perfect and left fans desperate to see what would happen next week on SmackDown. The implications of this storyline extend beyond just these three women because the entire women's division will be affected by whoever emerges victorious from this situation. Other superstars are watching closely, knowing that alliances might need to be formed or rivalries might need to be set aside depending on how things develop. The backstage interviews after the show featured several wrestlers giving their thoughts on what transpired, and it was clear that everyone had an opinion on who should come out on top. Alexa's return has already generated millions of views on social media platforms, with clips of her entrance and promo being shared across every wrestling community online. The phrase "Old Alexa" was trending worldwide within hours, and fans were creating comparison videos showing the difference between her various character iterations throughout her career. The overwhelming sentiment was positive, with people expressing genuine happiness to see her back and excited about the direction her character was heading. The attack by Jade on Tiffany's associate has added a personal element to this feud that makes it feel more real and urgent. Wrestling is always better when there are legitimate reasons for people to fight beyond just wanting a championship, and this storyline has layers that can be explored in multiple ways. The creative team clearly has big plans for this rivalry, and the fact that they're willing to invest significant television time into building it properly shows they understand its potential value. What happens in the coming weeks will determine how this story unfolds, but based on what we saw, the foundation has been laid for something truly special. The chemistry between these three women is undeniable, and their in-ring abilities ensure that when they finally collide in that triple threat match, it will be worth every second of build-up. Fans are already marking their calendars and making plans to watch what could be a defining moment for all three careers. The wrestling business thrives on moments that create lasting memories, and what we witnessed on SmackDown has all the ingredients necessary to become one of those moments. Alexa bringing back her old self isn't just about nostalgia but about showing growth and evolution as a performer. Jade's surprise attack wasn't just about shock value but about establishing her as a calculating strategic force. Tiffany's role in all this isn't just about being caught in the middle but about proving she can hang with established stars when the pressure is on. Make sure you stay tuned to all WWE programming because this story is going to develop rapidly and you won't want to miss a single segment. Subscribe to keep getting all the latest updates, analysis and breaking news as this incredible storyline continues to unfold and we head toward what promises to be an unforgettable showdown between three of the most talented women in professional wrestling today.